Welcome and thank you so much for checking out my review of The Promised Neverland Season 1. This is a show based on a manga of the same name created by Kaiu Shiran, and I'm trying something new here, reviewing a few anime at least once a month. So if you guys like this, let me know in the comments below and share your thoughts on the show. I got a lot to say about this. Let's get started. The show follows a group of the smartest kids at a seemingly perfect orphanage as they uncover a dark truth when they break a rule never to leave the orphanage grounds. There's more to the premise, but I gotta say, before we start the proper review, I need to mention that this is a spoiler-free review, but I need to talk about the first episode freely. I went into this show completely blind, and being caught off guard right from the get-go really helped me at staying with the show and just binging it in a couple of hours. So please do watch the first episode, but then you are free to come back. So in starting the show again, I went in completely blind. I knew this show existed. I knew people talked very good things about it. Friends of mine talked very good things about it, but I seriously had no idea what it was. And we started following these kids. I knew it wasn't going to be just the day-to-day of this very perfect and happy life of these kids. But man, I was not prepared for when Emma and Norman go to the gate and they open the curtain at the back of the truck and find Connie dead. In essence, Emma and Norman find out that they're cattle for slaughter. They're only being raised until a certain point to being sold off and then be eaten by their overlords, which are these creepy-looking demon creatures that are nightmare-inducing. So the show establishes that the perfect age is 12, that's when the meat is ripe, and also that the brain is the most delicious part of a child, the human child. I have no idea, but this show says it is, so I'm buying whatever this show says, because that right there is a hook if I've ever seen one. So there are two things that this show does very well, above a lot of things that it does very well already. So first of all, this is great horror storytelling. It's helped by the score, but the atmosphere that the show creates. Characters in the show are creepy. Sister Krone and Mama are fucking creepy. I had cold sweats throughout my body. I had shivers going up and down my spine throughout this entire show whenever they were on screen. Especially Sister Krone. Her movements, her facial expressions are over-the-top nature. It should be funny, but it's extremely unsettling and fucking creepy. I will get into Mama in a little bit, but she even wins out between the two. So the horror is spectacular. There are also all of these scenes where you follow characters on a POV perspective throughout the halls when they're empty, and the show really lingers on that, and it really helps to create this sense of uncertainty. What is going to happen? Is someone going to just be pulled into a door as they're traveling down this hallway? You're never sure, and the show really feeds on that. The other thing the show does really well is establish its rules and the deadline that these characters have. We know when time runs out, we know that they're strategizing about it, and we know what they have to do about it because we accompany these characters throughout the planning of that strategy. The bulk of the show is these characters strategizing to run away. So the rules are very well established, the stakes are very well established, and the world building is tremendously well done. Which is also helped because you got these tremendous odds against just a bunch of kids. The show perfectly establishes that these kids are really smart for their age. They got these tests, they are well fed, they have this very happy life, and the fact that they're being goaded into certain death by this person that they trust is also extremely twisty. But just like any other show or long-term form of storytelling, none of this would work if you didn't feel for the characters. There are lots of characters to like in this show, but our main ones are Emma, Norman, and Rei. These three characters are really easy to root for. The show not only makes you really like them, but it makes you understand who these characters are, how they think, how they see the world, how the way they see the world is turned upside down, their strengths, their weaknesses, and what they bring to the table. And following these characters as they're trying to strategize and find things out, and seeing how smart and cunning they are, knowing their goal, and see how much they fight to achieve that goal, it's extremely engaging. And Emma is one of the best protagonists I've seen in a while on a TV show, or at least in an anime. She's a very easy character to root for. She has the most physical prowess out of everyone, but she is not the smartest. That is something that is a weakness to her. But even weaknesses and strengths, these characters know how to use them to their advantage. Their ingenuity even comes into use because they are smart enough to twist things around and make use of them. Like the kids playing tag throughout the grounds of the orphanage throughout the show. It's something that they use eventually for their advantage and comes into the story. In Norman and Rei, I feel like are two characters that complete each other. They're basically two sides of the same coin because they're both really smart, even though they're not as good physically as Emma. They're both smarter than her. They're the guys with the strategy. And even though I really like Norman, Rei might be my favorite character personally. There's something that the show does with him later on in the episodes, which I'm not going to say what it is, but it gives him a lot of dimension. I was extremely surprised. This show kept on surprising me again and again and again until the end. But he's a wild card. He's the one that's thinking like 3 steps ahead of everyone else in this kind of mental chess game. And it's extremely engaging to see his decision making in this show as well, because it's a constant catch-up game. You're constantly trying to catch up with what this guy is thinking. And it's a good thing that I never quite felt like I was able to. But what this trio and the rest of the kids eventually bring into the show is the sense of camaraderie, brotherhood, and family. There's a lot of love that every single one of them has for each other. The show does a great job at giving you that information, not necessarily through dialogue, not necessarily with somebody telling you, but seeing their interactions on a day-to-day basis. These kids live together, they're family, they love each other very much, and seeing how much they need each other is some of the best character dynamics in recent memory. But I gotta talk about Mama. This character, I was constantly scared of what this character would do. She went to lengths I didn't think she would go to. And again, the show does a great job at making you kind of love her, even though you already know she's the enemy. And then it does a great job at making you be very fucking scared of her whenever she's on screen. There are scenes where she just shows up and she's pretending to be a lovable mother that loves these kids very much. And you're just, holy shit, what is going to happen? I have no idea. Please run the fuck away, everyone. But even with all that, the show still managed to give her a lot of dimension near the end. There's something that the show does with her that is not common. I've seen sympathetic villains. I have seen villains become heroes. I have seen villains become anti-heroes, heroes become anti-heroes. But what the show does with this character is extremely sympathetic, and I think that's on purpose. Sympathy and empathy are two different things. The show doesn't necessarily make you feel empathy for her, but sympathy was a key element for this character specifically. And I really respect the show for doing that, because along with everything else, it does a lot of mature decisions. This is a very rated R show, even though it's not explicitly gory or anything like that. The themes that it talks about, the way it tells its story, the score, the horror, the environment that it creates, that it generates around this orphanage and this whole world and the mythology that it establishes, is extremely sophisticated for what I expected, even though I kind of went in expecting nothing. As far as ages are concerned, I say some of the characters that come into importance eventually, I think they need a stronger foundations. It's not like I don't care for these characters, but I think a certain build-up is kind of missing there, but that's really it, and it only applies to certain supporting characters, not our main trio. These heroes are very easy to root for, the villains are very easy to be scared of, the world building is spectacular. This is one of the most original concepts, but also one of the most original executions of a concept that I've seen in recent memory. It's engaging, thrilling, emotional, scary. It feels like any first season of a show should feel, and it's just opening the book for a much larger story. I was really surprised by this. Please give it a watch. And even though what I said in the beginning, do go in as blind as you can. I'm giving The Promised Neverland an A. Now, my beautiful geekies, what did you think of The Promised Neverland? Have you seen it? Have you read the manga? Or are you all the way in front of everyone else and you know what's eventually going to happen? Don't tell us, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, if you guys like this, let me know in the comments below and share around with your friends who love anime. And I'll make more, at least one a month for now. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Stay tuned for many more reviews to come in this channel very soon. I'll hope to see you there. And so until then, stay beautiful, stay geeky, don't forget to subscribe and like the video because it really helps me and the channel a lot. But most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.